Back. We're glad you are still with us tonight. My explainer is talking about this that is all the rage. You can now get a loan, and I'm sure you know this, right on your phone within minutes. But the central bank governor recently talked about this issue. And so today we're going to talk about the 5 most important things to understand about digital lending apps. Why they're so convenient, but also some of the little finer details that you need to make sure you understand even as you sign up for them. So first of all, there's millions of users who have been there. There are 49 registered apps so far in the country, and the number continues to rise with newer ones coming up and being formed in the market every day. A good number of them, if you check on the Play Store or on the Apple Store as well, record 5 million plus downloads. Now, some people download them just to think about it, see what it is, but it is important to note that there's as many as 49. That's 49 lending institutions right on your phone. But here are the 5 most important things that I think you need to know. One, as we know, they are fairly convenient. Listen, there is no collateral. There are no title deeds. You're not asked for 3 months of your pay slip. There are no forms to sign. You don't have to walk to a bank. And this is especially convenient for youth and women who often did not have access to collateral like title deeds, and therefore would have to be dependent on either their parents or their husbands or their fathers to provide that collateral. So it's extremely convenient for them as well. It's discreet. You can be doing this even as you watch this explainer right now, and it happens in minutes, anytime, day or night. And you know, it also saves you that situation where you have to ask your friends for money. I have this project that's coming up, and you have to explain it to them. And sometimes you don't end up getting the money. So that is one of the things that's so important. It is super convenient. But it is important to read the terms and conditions. Now, here are a couple of them that you need to look out for. One is the interest rates. Now, this is a number and a figure that looks fairly interesting, doesn't it? 7 to 5%. But for most of these, they are charged per month. And therefore, if you compound that figure to what you would pay annually, it comes to about 40% per year, which contrasts sharply with what banks offer at about 14%. But it's also important to read those terms and conditions, because there are things like service fees for a good number of them, which charge at 10% of the loan amount. There's also late fees if you delay with that, and a rollover amount should you default. But here's one of them, one of those terms and conditions that are super important. And this is access to your data. So how are they able to determine your credit score, your credit worthiness? They go through your GPS data, your handset details. They take a look at your call logs. Who have you been calling? Who are your contacts? Who have you been SMSing? And remember, data is big business. Now, of course, all of them guarantee the protection and the privacy of your data and only promise to ever use it for the very specific purpose of doing that. And you might ask, well, this is an invasion of privacy, but remember, you usually click on agreeing to the terms and conditions. Let me just read you one of them. It says, and this is, you can find commonly with all of them, you hereby consent to company X to verify personal information and the relevant information with mobile money providers. You agree and authorize them to verify information, including but not limited to, get this, phone history, SMSs that have been sent to you by mobile money providers, and any financial services relating to your use of the service. They also ask your permission to give your details to CRB or to list you with CRB should you default on the loans. Now, all of this is data they're looking for, including your GPS, which means they're taking a look at, once your location is on, which restaurants you go to, which shopping malls, which are the areas, what sort of amounts of money are you paying, especially with the SMS logs. They're checking your M-Pesa, your Airtel money transactions. They literally do this. And there have been some reports where they actually text people on your contact list when you have defaulted. So it would be person X, please tell Yvonne to pay her loan of about 10,000 shillings. Some would say that's a bit of an invasion of privacy. But these are all very important things that you need to understand when you click to agree on the terms and conditions. And remember, getting listed on CRB is no joke, because that reduces your credit score and also will prevent you from getting loans and other signing up for other utilities. So that is something you need to understand. But let me also point out, because some of these companies are not actually domiciled here. One of them, in fact, states that the data is held in the US. So what happens if your data is misused, especially in a country like Kenya where data protection laws simply do not exist? If in the event of a dispute, what do you do? Where do you go? But here's another important thing. What are we all borrowing for? What do we use the money for? Well, for a number of things. It's short-term, it's quick lending, and you pay it within 4 to about 68 weeks. A number of people, especially women, are using it fantastically for business. So you're selling vegetables from Mudura, you borrow money in the morning, you buy your goods, you get your profit margin, you pay it by the end of the day. But it's also helping young people who don't necessarily have a registered business. You're selling clothes, you're selling phones. You know, if you went to a bank, they would ask you for your business permit and all of these things that you require. But you have a good customer base. So that's also very helpful for young people. But here comes the other thing that people are flagging: entertainment, and increasingly betting as well. So you do know this, tonight or tomorrow night, you're at the bar, it's your time to throw raos, you don't have money, but they got you. So in 5 minutes, you sign up, you get 5,000, and soon it's raos for everybody. So these are some of the things that people are talking about. And also people are using it for day-to-day running of their affairs, which is why a lot of people are saying you could easily get shackled in debt. In fact, there's a number of people that borrow from one to pay the other, to pay the other, until you can borrow no more. But I guess with 49 mobile lending apps, that should be something that is easy. So let's talk about what to do. Regulation. Remember, these are not regulated by the CBK Act because CBK deals with financial lending institutions. In fact, this is what CBK governor had to say about this just last week. He said we need to regulate them. Who in the end regulates them? That's not yet determined, but we need to. The way they advertise, perhaps, some people say, enticing you, targeting your weak points. I'm sure you've got some of those SMSs. It's the middle of the month. There's no need to suffer and to struggle between now and the end of the month. But there was a proposal last year from Treasury. It's called the Financial Markets Conduct Authority Bill, which proposed to regulate anyone lending money. It is yet to be introduced in the House. Why regulate, you say? Well, what happens in the event of a dispute between you and one of these companies? Which body do you go to? Who do you go to complain to? Some of the companies, remember, are not based in Kenya. So what are some of the laws? Which laws would apply? The laws in Kenya or the laws where the companies themselves are domiciled? Regulation is needed, but as he says, who should do it, how it should be done, are some of those things that we need to talk about and to seriously think about before things get out of hand. But it's important to read the terms and conditions and understand what sort of leeway you are giving to these companies, and of course, ultimately, to use this debt for the right reasons. So make sure you look out for that when you're borrowing that 5K next time.